It was a Tuesday evening in October 2016, and reality star Kim Kardashian was just relaxing in her hotel room after a long day of fashion shows during Paris Fashion Week. But what she didn't realize was that 5 men disguised as police officers had just broken into her hotel and were looking for her. These men would end up stealing more than $10 million worth of jewelry from the reality star. But how did they pull off such an elaborate heist? And where are they now? We'll start at the beginning of the day. On October 2nd, 2016, Kim Kardashian was having a great time at Paris Fashion Week. She attended a private dinner with Vogue editor Anna Wintour and other celebrities like actresses Sarah Jessica Parker and Karlie Kloss. According to Harper's Bazaar, the event was held at the private mansion of Andre Leon Talley, who was a longtime editor-at-large for Vogue. It was a small gathering with only 20 guests in attendance, so it was likely pretty low-key. After the dinner party, Kim returned to her hotel room at the No. 45 Le Méridien Hotel. This is because she wasn't partying that night. She went straight back to the hotel while her sisters Courtney and Kendall went out for a night of fun in Paris. But this would end up being a big mistake because later that night, 5 masked men would break into the hotel looking for Kim. But let's rewind a bit and see how these men planned this crazy heist. According to the New York Times, the men who broke into the hotel were 66-year-old AOB, aka the Professor, 72-year-old Francois, aka the Snapper, 43-year-old Michael, 44-year-old Gary, and another man whose name hasn't been revealed. They were all part of a group of French and Belgian criminals who had experience robbing luxury hotels. But before we continue, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. The plan was simple. They would disguise themselves as police officers and tell the concierge that there was a warrant for Kim's arrest. Then they would go to her room and take all of her jewelry. According to The Guardian, these men were no strangers to stealing from celebrities. In 2009, they robbed singer Rihanna of $6 million worth of jewelry in a similar fashion. In that case, the men posed as police officers and told the concierge that they needed to question Rihanna about an alleged crime she was involved in. When she answered the door, they entered the room and stole her things. In Kim's case, surveillance footage shows the men arriving at the hotel lobby around 2:40 a.m. You can see them walk in, approach the front desk and speak with the concierge. One of the men points his finger like a gun and threatens the concierge. Another man is holding a backpack and pushing the concierge towards a corner. The concierge then gets down on his knees, while the other 2 men rummage through drawers at the front desk. After a minute or so, they leave without getting anything. They then waited for Kim to return to her room. She had actually left the hotel earlier in the morning for an event, but came back around 5:30 a.m. What she didn't know was that her sisters had gone out for the night and the hotel concierge had given away her room number to these men. This was a huge mistake that ended up costing Kim millions of dollars. Let's get back to the timeline. As Kim returned to her room, one of the men disguised as a police officer was still waiting in the lobby. He was hoping to catch her as she exited the elevator, but when he heard her room number called, he rushed upstairs and tried to hide down the hall. But unfortunately for him, Kim walked right past him and into her room. She had no idea that just seconds earlier, this man had been hiding in the same hallway. If he hadn't left the lobby to follow Kim, he might have been able to stop her from going inside. But this also worked out in Kim's favor, because she never saw the intruder and was able to lock herself safely inside. What happened next is shocking. According to the Daily Mail, the man who had been waiting in the lobby ran down the stairs and used a keycard to gain access to the roof. Once there, he opened a hatch and climbed onto the roof. He then proceeded to walk across to Kim's room, which was on the 6th floor. At this point, Kim still had no idea that anything was wrong. She changed into a robe and was relaxing in her room while her phone was charging. She had been traveling non-stop for days and was exhausted from all the fashion shows and events. Little did she know that someone was trying to break into her room as she slept. The man on the roof had found a vent that led to the 6th floor. He crawled through the opening and began making his way down the hallway. He stopped outside of Kim's room and listened for a moment. Maybe he could hear her inside and decided against entering. But whatever made him change his mind, he ended up knocking on her room door. When Kim heard the knock, she thought it was weird. But since she was by herself and no one was in the room with her, she decided to open it. It was at this moment that everything changed. The man outside the door pushed his way in and threatened Kim with a gun. Kim screamed for help and the intruder demanded to know where the rapper's wife was. He was referring to Kanye West, who was married to Kim at the time. She told him that she was the rapper's wife, and that he should leave. But instead of leaving, he searched the room and stole an undisclosed amount of cash, jewelry, and a diamond-encrusted iPhone. He then tied her up with plastic ties and locked her in the bathroom while he continued to search the rest of the apartment. When he was done, he fled and Kim was able to free herself from the bathroom. She immediately called the police and reported the robbery, but sadly, most of her things were gone. The total cost of what was stolen is not known, but estimates range between $10 and $12 million. This was a huge financial loss for Kim, but luckily she was not hurt in the process. However, it did have an impact on her mental health. She took a break from social media and cancelled several upcoming appearances. In February 2017, she returned to Instagram and posted a lengthy message about the robbery. She said that she was traumatized by the experience, but thankful that her children were not with her at the time. As for the men responsible for the robbery, they were caught soon after. Police arrested 7 people in connection with the heist. Among them was a concierge from the hotel. He was charged with helping the men get access to Kim's room by giving them her room number. The other 6 men were charged with armed robbery, kidnapping, and participation in a criminal association. 4 of the men pleaded guilty to their involvement in the heist. 2 others insisted they were innocent, claiming that they were set up by police. However, prosecutors were able to prove that they were all guilty and a judge sentenced them accordingly. So where are they now? Well, according to the Daily Mail, IOBB was ordered to pay Kim $3.8 million in damages. He was also sentenced to 7 years in prison. However, he was released early in 2021 after serving less than 4 years. The other men received similar sentences, but their prison time varied depending on their role in the heist. As for Kim, she seems to be doing well these days. She recently filed for divorce from her husband of 7 years, Kanye West. The couple has 4 children together and Kim is seeking joint custody. She is also back in the spotlight with her family's new reality show, The Kardashians. If you want to learn more about that, check out my video here. Thanks for watching. Do you think Kim deserved to be robbed? Let me know your thoughts.